Hi, my name is Katie Kataska, and I am the chair of the Professional Development Committee of the New Jersey State Library Association. In the Library Career Path series, we'll be interviewing librarians from a wide variety of positions within the field, from public positions to music outreach and even business librarians. So newcomers and seasoned librarians alike can learn more about the many career options available in the field that they may not have been aware of. We hope you enjoy these interviews, and please like and subscribe to our channel below to help promote the Library Career Path series. Thanks so much for watching this series. We hope you enjoy it. Take care.
Okay, Sarah Mason, thank you so much for joining us as a part of our new librarians panel brought to you by the NJLA PD committee. And we're just gonna dive right in. So can you please give us your name, title, and place of employment?
Sure. Thank you so much for inviting me to do an interview with you guys. My name is Sarah Mason. I am the Music Outreach Librarian at Westminster Choir College of Rider University.
What inspired you to become a librarian? Did you choose this profession or did it find you?
Honestly, I think it was a little bit of both. I had gone to libraries my entire life. As a young child, I went to the local public library. And then during my undergraduate degree, I got a job at the public library as well as at the university library. So, I was able to kind of do that while I was getting my degree. And then kind of when I was trying to graduate, so I was getting towards the end of my degree, which is a music degree, I had realized I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I wasn't really wanting to be a band director or a choir director or anything like that. I just didn't really want to teach. So I wasn't really sure where to go. But from there, I, started thinking about it. I'm like, well, why don't I do libraries? I love libraries. I've worked in them and I've, been going to them my entire life. Why not do that?
Okay.
So, yeah.
So that's really interesting to me, Sarah. So your undergrad degree is in music?
Mhm.
And so when you embarked on that path, did you have an idea of what you wanted to do with it and then you changed your mind?
Initially, I did want to be a band director.
Okay.
I play the flute, and as soon as I joined band, I knew that I loved music and that I wanted to do something in it. But as I started taking the teaching classes and stuff, I'm like, I don't really know if that's what I want to pursue.
Okay.
It's just not really my personality to be like a musical director.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there something specific that pointed you in the direction of becoming a music librarian? I think we kind of just touched on that. Well, so music librarian, can you tell me a little bit about the collection? I'm going out of order here, but I don't care because I don't really know that much about what a music librarian does. So what is the collection like?
Well, just to kind of touch on what you were saying before, the specific, thing that maybe pointed me in the direction,
Oh,
I actually didn't know that it existed as a specific like niche of librarianship
okay.
until I think it was my senior year of college. We had a musician come in for one of our wind ensemble concerts. We were doing a percussion concerto, and a musician came in who was also a music librarian. So she taught to our conducting class, and she talked about how, yes, I do music, but I also am a librarian. I'm like mind blown. I want to look into this.
Okay.
So I reached out to her. She put me in contact with some of the more local music librarians at other universities. And that's really how I went down that particular path.
Okay.
As far as within a music library, I think each one is going to be a little bit different. But our library, as I'm at Westminster Choir College, it's more so focused on local music. We do have books,
Did you say
ebooks,
global music?
choral.
Choral music. Okay. Sorry.
Sorry.
That's okay.
But yeah, we have a lot of individual like solo songs that people can check out. We also have piano, organ, and then some others. We have opera scores. We have collected editions, which is going to have it's going to have a focus of either a particular type of music or a particular composer, and it's going to have all of their music available in one reference item. We also have some other like more literary type things as well. We have books about composers or about styles of music.
Okay.
And then we also have some more teaching focused stuff as well. And that's more so for people who want to become, a music teacher, band director, things like that. And then
Okay.
in addition to that, we also have a special collection that I think is pretty like specific. Well, it's very specific to our collection, but I don't know how many others really exist, at least in the United States. It's our performance collection, which we have performance quantities, which is generally 10 to 20 or more copies of choral pieces that we can check out to choirs. And we have, I believe, over 5,000 different pieces, if not more. And
Wow.
that, yeah, so a ton of stuff. And our students actually process them whenever we get them in. They're like little kind of folio type things where they don't have a cover. So we'll have our students process those so that they're a little bit more durable.
Okay.
But the choirs on campus, as well as more like local community choirs, will check out the different pieces. And it's just really cool to be able to see, beyond just having that piece, we have enough for an entire choir to sing.
Right. That's amazing. So, so most of the collection is physical sheet music, or do you also have a large digital collection, or not really?
I think that the main library has a lot more digital than physical. Our stuff, just because a lot of what with music, you have to have a physical copy. Whenever you do recitals, most of the time your accompanist is going to require, like a physical score to be able to read off of. Most of our collection is going to be physical, but we do have access to, music databases as well as a few ebooks and stuff as
Okay.
well. Yeah.
Right. This is so interesting. I don't know a lot about music, so I'm so glad that I picked this interview. Okay. Can you describe your interview process for the job you currently have? Was there like an asset that you possess, which you believe may have helped you land that job?
Sure. So, as always, the interview process is daunting. You have a lot to prepare beforehand and all of that. But I feel like for this particular job, I prepared, like I said beforehand, enough where I felt comfortable talking about the different things that I not only had experience with, but what I could bring to the university. Um, for this particular position, I had the first round of interviews was through, I believe it was just phone. Um, it was a little bit before Zoom became a really big thing. And then after that, I was invited to an on-campus interview for a second round, and that was an all-day thing. I spoke to multiple people.
All day?
Well, it was at least like 4 or 5 hours, I believe, but I was taken out to lunch and stuff, and they paid for a hotel.
Okay.
Um,
So sustenance was included.
yes, definitely. But it also included like a presentation, and I believe that for this position, it wasn't like focused on a particular aspect. It was just like present on something about librarianship that you think would be useful in this position. So I did something over instruction sessions. So that was, being able to prepare that as well kind of made me feel a little bit more comfortable when I came in.
Okay.
And then as far as assets, I definitely believe that my background knowledge of music and experience playing in ensembles was super helpful in landing me this job. Um, within music, you have a lot more specialized knowledge than you probably realize you do whenever you even just play an instrument or sing in a choir, because, you're able to know what's important, what you need to look for in a music collection whenever you're looking for something.
Okay. All right. Thank you. What is a typical work day like for you?
Not to seem cliche, but honestly, every workday is different. Some days I'll focus a lot on like collection development, finding books or scores or other things to bring into the collection. Others, I might be on the reference desk most of the day. Days like today, I have multiple instruction sessions where I go in and teach classes, and it's beyond just music classes. I also do kind of the English classes and other more like early on like freshman sophomore classes.
Okay.
So I really wear a lot of hats, so to speak. So it's hard to really pinpoint day to day what I'm going to do like solidly, but most of my experience is in public services. So no matter what, more or less, I'm probably going to be working with the public.
Okay, great. What skills and qualifications are required for your position, and do they match those that you most use on a daily basis?
Sure. So as I mentioned before, because I work in the music library, it's important to have that background knowledge, to know how to read music, to know, different composers, things like that, but also being able to help students and faculty and staff find things when they may not know exactly what they want. Sometimes they might be required to get a particular edition of a piece where it's going to be the same music in different like publishers, but sometimes there are different tempo markings or maybe not tempo, maybe like it'll have just different markings, bowing markings, especially if you're doing something string related, or just little tiny things that are going to be slightly changed that maybe your professor or your accompanist or whatever you're using this music for, they require you to have that particular one. So, you may want a Barenreiter edition instead of like a Peters edition. So,
Okay.
and sometimes, students don't necessarily know that when they come in. So being able to have that knowledge as well, like, oh yeah, we have this particular piece by this publisher is really good to know. And also being able to kind of do the intensive searches as well is pretty important. Just like, again, you might go in knowing, okay, I want this Mozart piece, but there are a bunch of other Mozart pieces with that same title, like
Okay.
Minuet or something like that. And just being able to kind of know the collection, but also know the ways that the databases are going to be searchable, things like that. So long story short, I definitely say that, these type of musical skills definitely are used daily in my
Okay.
position.
So, yeah, so you have to have a lot of specialized knowledge about the music, and it sounds like you have to really conduct like reference interviews, for lack of a better, well, that is the right phrase, I guess, to really pinpoint what the information need is, which is really
Right.
interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Can you tell me the best thing about your job and your least favorite thing about your job?
So I think that the best thing about my job is just being able to help people find what they're looking for. Um, I find it extremely satisfying to have a good, successful reference interaction or interview with a patron where they not only leave happy with what they have, but they can actually answer those questions for themselves in the future and know, okay, well, I use this database to find this item. I guess that in the future, when I'm looking for something similar, I can use that knowledge to do the same thing. Instruction sessions that I do, I always kind of start out and end with saying, our librarians are here to help you. That's literally our job. We're here to help you with your research, help you find things, help you formulate, your research questions. And if it weren't for the students, we wouldn't be here. It's a university. So I just try to encourage as much library use as possible. So just in general,
You've ended up doing a lot of teaching after all.
yeah, but it's in a different kind of realm.
Right.
I guess as far as my least favorite thing, probably not having, set job duties that I know I'm going to work on each and every day. Like I mentioned, it's kind of, I go with the flow depending on what the day needs. I might need to cover reference for an entire, or if not an entire day, most of the day, and put off maybe whatever research I was doing for another thing. So, it requires me to be willing to kind of move around my schedule, which I don't think is necessarily a terrible thing. But, if it's something that you need a set schedule, sometimes that could be a little bit hard.
Right. Okay. So, what are your salary expectations, and does your current job meet them?
So when I graduated with my MLS, I had no idea what sort of salary expectations to expect. You know, looking at different job opportunities, it ranged from very low to, you know, pretty good. And whenever I interviewed here, I was actually surprised with the salary that I was offered coming in. I hadn't gotten my second master's degree, which is something that is important, and at least at this university, having that second master's, it's kind of our terminal degree. But yeah, I think part of it's living in New Jersey, it's expensive, things like that. But at that point, I didn't care. I just wanted a job.
Right.
But after getting here, I was pleasantly surprised that it was, you know, more than a livable wage.
Okay.
It is a tenure track position, so it does allow a lot of opportunities for growth as well as promotion.
Okay.
So
What is your second master's in?
my second master's is in American and Public Musicology
Okay.
and
And
more or less
so,
music history.
okay. So in an academic library, having two masters is, I guess we should say, good for your salary prospects.
Definitely. And you know, some libraries require it for you to continue going on, others
Okay.
don't. But I think it looks good a lot of the times. And I was lucky I was able to take classes here. So I just had to pay taxes on
Okay,
the
that was going
classes
to be my
instead.
next question. Do they
Yep.
facilitate that? Which is okay. So they had tuition remission and you just had to pay the taxes?
Yep. I
That's
believe if it
fantastic.
had been another undergraduate degree, you don't have to take or to pay the taxes. I think it covers all of it.
Okay.
It's kind of a complicated process, but regardless, I was able to get another
Right.
degree and it was really nice.
That's wonderful. What advice do you have for new librarians or graduate students about to enter the fields?
I think that the main advice that I didn't take for myself was don't get overwhelmed. It's scary and daunting when you graduate and you're looking for a job and you know you apply for a bunch. You may or may not get interviews. It's just part of the profession, I think. But just keep trying. Don't get overwhelmed. Make sure that you're continuing to market yourself and show that you do have the knowledge that you believe will be useful for whatever position you're interviewing for. And something that I struggle with still is networking.
Okay.
It's been hugely important, I think, in my position as well as, you know, just learning about librarianship is being able to talk to other librarians. So even though I'm introverted and sometimes struggle a little bit with networking, it has really helped and I definitely encourage it.
Yeah. And it's a skill like any other. The more you do it, the better you get at it.
Exactly.
What do the job prospects look like for your type of position?
So music librarianship jobs are not quite as common as other more general academic library jobs, but they're not completely like impossible to find. They do come up fairly frequently. As it is kind of a niche area, you probably are going to want to be willing to move to find a position.
Like relocate?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Um,
That's good for people to know because that's not an easy thing for everyone to do.
right. And originally I grew up in Texas. I went to grad school in Indiana, and then I got a job in New Jersey. So I did have to do a lot of moving, but a lot of jobs will actually help you with your moving, like they'll help with a budget and stuff.
Right.
That's nice, but that's not always the case. But it is something that you're probably gonna want to consider that if you want to stay in a very specific area, you may need to be willing to move to find a position like that.
Okay. That's probably true of many academic jobs, right? Like teaching, like and professors, I bet they move a lot too, right? Okay.
Definitely.
That is interesting. Okay, what has been the biggest challenge to you in this profession?
I would say one of the biggest challenges is after graduating, going into a library job, a lot of what I learned in library school didn't quite prepare me as much as I would have liked for my actual job. I mean, it's hard because, you know, there's only so much that you can learn in library school, they can't really always do that hands-on sort of experience type activities. So a lot of times you're going to have to really learn as you go. So that's been kind of a struggle for me, just as this is my first professional position as a librarian. So just being able to kind of hit the, hit the road running, or hit the ground running.
Hit the ground running.
Where we're just knowing that you may not automatically have that experience, but you're going to be able to learn it on the job, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think it's important for people to know. I felt the same way. I mean, I think library school teaches you a lot of really important things, but
Definitely.
I kind of felt like it gave you like a theoretical framework,
right?
But none of the daily details that you really, just don't understand until you're on the job. Although I think that's true of a lot of professions.
That's true. That is very true.
Yeah, I have a daughter graduating law school this year, and she started working last summer. And she said, yeah, it's the same thing. It gives you theory, but not practice.
Right.
Okay, and to end on a high note, although the whole thing has been lovely, are there any accomplishments during your library career that you are particularly proud of? Now you get to brag a little.
Well, I mean, I've done some publishing that's been kind of cool. Recently, I co-authored an article about how AI compares to reference librarian answers. That was pretty cool.
That is very cool.
Just because AI has been a big boom in the last few years.
Yeah.
But I also have done a lot of outreach, and I really enjoy that aspect of my job. And probably one of my favorite things that I've done was a few springs ago, I helped set up an entire recital that was solely performed by music library staff and faculty.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah, each of us played an instrument or sang or, had some sort of musical background. So we had multiple people do either solo singing or solo with an accompanist or maybe even another instrumentalist. We had a harpist, a clarinetist, me as flute, and then vocalist, and then we had someone come in and play piano for us. So it was really cool. I think a lot of times it's easy to forget that librarians have knowledge beyond just how to use a library, how to use those resources. So we actually titled it Musicians Too, kind of like we're librarians, but we're musicians too. So that was really, really cool, and it went really well. So I think that that's my kind of shining achievement so far.
That's lovely. Thank you for sharing. And I'm going to ask you to send me a link to your article as well, so that we can maybe append it to the interview, because I'm sure that would be interesting to a lot of people.
Sure.
Great, Sarah, this has really been a pleasure. You've taught me a lot, and I think you've shared information that's going to help other people as well. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I hope you have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.